being in an urban area, it's a bit of a challenge in knowing people's names. Usually they are called Baba Fulani or Mama Fulani, or if it is a brother or sister, it's a brother so-and-so or sister of so-and-so. There is this man whom we used to call Baba Doti. Doti, at that time also Fred Di Majunga had sung a Lingala song called Doti. I was distantly related to him, but we were very close. The greatest thing that Baba Doti did, it is because of him and his wife that Moi Flats in Nakuru is still an estate owned by the county government. He told me when I was working for the intelligence, and that is a story for another day, and I think it is in my manuscript. Mama Doti, his wife, was also a close. She was a typist in the provincial commissioner's office, and so she was also close to Akinyi, the secretary to Anguka, the district commissioner. So in my investigations about Robert Ouko, I garnered a lot from this gracious lady. But that is not what I wanted to talk today. Today I wanted to talk about everything God has a plan. Everything God has a plan. And kindly, I may be gone tomorrow, but please always be playing this tape, and remember, everything you do, God approves it. When I was sacked, I went and saw him. That on a day when he used to work for income tax before it was called KRA. And we stayed in his house, just the two of us. We talked, and he told me, accept, because 2 months ago you are talking of being promoted to the next rank. And here, instead of even being in the current rank, you are going home unceremoniously. He told me that is God's plan, and one day you'll come to appreciate. I've come to appreciate because before I lost my album recently, I usually see the people whom I left in work, and the kind of deaths are very sad. Like, immediately I was sacked, I stopped taking alcohol. And I remember one of the people whom I used to take alcohol with, one day he drank, and it was raining heavily, and he drowned in those mitaro next to a road. So I've always said, suppose I would have continued working, I would have taken a lot of alcohol, and maybe I would have drowned. But here I am, a few kilos more, broke of course, but wiser and still alive and healthy. So this gentleman, he was over 20 years older than me. His wisdom at times built me, although he is not alive now. When he told me, I accepted my fate and went and stayed at home. And many years, here I am. Before I was sacked, you know, I didn't see, nobody saw it coming. Imagine 1 week you are working, the next week you are already sacked. But before I was sacked, he had called me. He had seen in a young man something that he could share and talk, and that is what I now want to share with you. One day he called me. He told me his last born, the girl called Doti, was doing her Form 3. The gentleman told me he would have retired in 1995, so I think he was born in 1940. He told me that he has a well-paying job, of course being an accountant with KRA, although that time it used to be called Income Tax Department, and provincial boss in Rift Valley. So you can see. He told me that all his children have completed school, they are working, they are doing anything. The last born girl is now doing Form 4 after she completes her job. And before I retire, there is one thing that I've never owned and I've always owned. Everything I've wanted, I've owned. Everything my wife has wanted, I have bought her. But there is one thing I've never bought and which I've always admired. I didn't know. I asked him, what is it? He told me, I've never owned a vehicle. And I've always wanted to own a vehicle. But the reason why I've not owned a vehicle, and the reason why the vehicle does not bring in income. Vehicle, you buy fuel every day. The vehicle, you take it to a garage. So all this year, I've constructed a very good house at home. In fact, I'm looking forward to retire, because if you look at this house, it looks like a servant's quarter of the house I've constructed at home. So I want to go home, get my pension, just relax, hotel. So this is the time when I've seen, let me now buy a vehicle for myself. Everything I've written a list of everything I want from A to Z. The only thing I can remember now that I've admired but never bought was a vehicle. So now, and I always say that my last born, when she completes her Form 4, I'll buy a vehicle. Well, I took it. How many stories have I talked to him and others? I've talked a lot of stories to a lot of people. There are those stories you just talk and go on, and at times you even listen to somebody because of his age. You don't want to tell him his disturbing way. Then, a year after I had been sacked, I happened to be in Nakuru. You know, when you are sacked, you don't move from town to town. You wait until something has happened in that town. Then you use that opportunity to visit people and places that you may not have visited. So I went to visiting, and the first thing I noticed was the wife was so good in applying her hairstyles and whatever. But I noticed that her hair was short trimmed like this one of mine, or in fact mine is a bigger. I noticed, but I could not tell her. Then as we were talking, I told her I'd hiked somebody's lift and he is about to come, and Baba Doti akija, tell him I missed him, because I would have insisted of talking to him, but you see, talking to him, I'll miss the lift. And that is what she told me, that he acquired a vehicle. Then when he acquired a vehicle, of course he used to drive government vehicles, he used to drive a friend's vehicle, he was very good in driving. He bought a new car. He bought a car from somebody, not a new one, but a good car, not Mikebe. So he bought a car, and he went for a test drive, and he tried everything. Sharp corners, slow, whatever. Then it reached a time when he decided to drive it very fast and make an emergency brake. There was no brake. The vehicle got into a wall and he died on the spot. Why am I remembering him, and why am I trying to share with you, especially those who are younger than me? I am sharing this with you is that God did what he did. God knew that if you would have given him a vehicle when the kids were in primary, nobody would have educated the kids. God allowed the kids to complete school and him to complete his profession. And that is when God decided to take him. You may suffer, you may face challenges, but you don't know why God is allowing you to face so.